Hey, what's going on, family? My name is Landis Jeray Morgan, and as always, here by my beautiful wife.
Hi, I'm Rotunda Morgan.
And today you are tuned into a whole new episode of Living More with the Morgans. And you guys, as every week, I gotta say it. We got a good one for you guys. Why? Because we come up with these things, man. we research on how we gonna bring this to you guys, and so this week is no different, you guys. And we got a great one for you. I think there's going to be one, especially for the married couples. This is going to be one where y'all going to really get some info, some tips. And today, you guys, it's a subject I think that we really need to be hitting on, especially during the holidays. We're talking about marriage and money, y'all. Dollar bill, y'all. We got to talk about it because it's seriously crippling marriages.
Yes.
It's crippling new relationships. Sometimes people don't even discuss finances and everything before they get into marriage, before they jump into that relationship. And I think this is something that is pertinent and is really important right now. Again, especially during the holidays, because right now people are doing a lot of spending. They just wilding out on the finances. And I know because the holidays, you want to do something special for people and the people that you love. And, you want to buy gifts, and nothing wrong with that. But sometimes I think we might go a little bit overboard with the money that we don't have, or that we think we have, or that we think we're going to get. And so I think this is an important show. So right now, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing and share this broadcast right here from our YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I don't know what you're waiting on, for real, because it's popping on YouTube, Living More with the Morgans. And so hit that subscribe button, you guys. Be sure to hit that bell icon for notifications, so every time a new episode is uploaded, you're the first one to know, and we want you to be the first one to get in on it. Also, if you aren't already following us on our social media platforms, you got to be doing that. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. Are people still on Twitter, man?
I'm not, but
I don't think. I ain't personally, but we're on TikTok, you guys, or X.com, whatever it is. We all over the place on social media, you guys. We're on Instagram as well. And so wherever you are on social media, you can definitely find us right here below on our social media platforms. And as always, if you haven't already, you can go to the hub right there on our website at www.livingmorewiththemorgans.com. And so again, we're on YouTube, we're on all of our social media, and on our website. And if you haven't already, if you'd like to listen to the podcast, and maybe you're at work, maybe you're behind the desk, or maybe you're just kind of chilling, or maybe you got to yell at the kids for a little bit, you can have our podcast in your ear right where you love to listen to your favorite podcast. We're on iHeartRadio, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, everywhere that you like to listen to your favorite podcast, you can find us on Living More with the Morgans. And so again, you guys, we got a good show this week for you guys. We're discussing marriage and money, and it's important. And we finna go ahead and jump in there, babe.
Yes.
How you feeling today?
Little sniffles, and came down with a little sinus issues, but I'm pushing through.
So you ain't
I'm
gonna
good.
You ain't gonna be snotting and sneezing.
I might be snotting and sneezing.
So she gonna break out the booger rag in a little bit. So
I'll have a booger rag.
If she do, we'll break to commercial. If she break out the booger rag, but babe's feeling a little bit under the weather, you guys. But we're gonna push through because I know she's got some great information. I've got some great information. We've gone before God. We've prayed. Always. And before every episode, just to kind of let you guys know, before every episode, we always go before God, because really we don't want it to just to be information that's coming from us. We want it to be, faith-centered, God-centered information that's going to really help you. And so, we're bringing our experiences, we're bringing our opinions, we're bringing certain things and our perspectives. But above all, we want God to really kind of speak to you through what it is that we're bringing to you. And so before every episode, we dig in deep. We go before the Lord and be like, okay, what do the people need? So you speak through us, because most of the time, 99.9% of the time, we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
we don't know Jack.
And he's speaking to us first.
Right. He speaks to us first, right? We got to get the intel first from him first, so we can give it to you guys. And so hopefully this video, like every video, will speak to you. And if you haven't, I want to say this as well. We've got some good shows in our archives, you guys. And so again, on our YouTube channel, even on our Facebook, you can go back to old episodes that we've done, old podcasts, and listen to those, so that you can kind of get caught up with who we are and what we're really about. And so that way, this podcast can really speak to you and apply to some of your situations.
That's
so
good.
I think today with this money and marriage.
Yes.
Whew, the mindset of money.
Yes.
That is vital. And I think as adults, we get our mindsets about money because really how a lot of us grew up.
Yeah.
And if you grew up in a double parent home or even in a single parent home, how you saw your parents really kind of deal with finances and money situations or whatever, if they had money, if you were kind of struggling, you kind of build a lot of your perception on handling money based on your experiences.
That's true.
And so we really want to hit home with this, you guys, because I think, especially as married couples, two people are coming from two different kinds of backgrounds.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
And so one person may have grown up struggling and didn't have a whole lot of money, and another person did, where they had money and they understood money and they understood finances and so forth. But then you have some situations where both folks was broke, both grew up in, struggling and not knowing how to handle money. And so we really didn't get the principles early on in life about money. And so our mentalities that we have kind of forged throughout our childhood and our adult years, that is what is either crippling us or is creating space for us when it comes to our finances. And believe it or not, you guys, finances is probably the reason why a lot of marriages are ending in divorce or separation, mainly on finances. Not necessarily, fidelity or infidelity, is one thing, and all these different, issues. But I think here in America in particular, a lot of faith-based marriages, even not even faith-based, but just marriages, period, are ending in divorce because of money.
Right.
And because of the mentalities and the mindsets that we have about money. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Sometimes we talked about this. The backgrounds and where you come from and how you grew up, and it can affect, if you're not cognizant of it, it can affect your marriage in a very difficult way, and we're living in an age now where prenups and all of that, when people do get money, you're starting to see that more, and people are, especially with our, people that are in the limelight and stuff, they're talking about, that's already done before the wedding bells,
Right.
So money is very important. And I think that it is one of the number one things that can destroy or build a marriage. So we have to have a hard or difficult conversation about money and finances and how it looked for both of us, our household, our future, and going forward.
And one thing you said about prenups, right? So a lot of the celebrities and particularly in our culture today, a lot of celebrities, high profile people, of course, are going for the prenups, the athletes, the actors, entertainers, and so forth. And I think that's one thing, of course, to protect their money, to protect their assets with that individual where, hey, I've built this, I've acquired this, and I want to, before I get into this relationship and this marriage, I want to make sure that this is protected. My assets are protected for me. Protection is one thing, but when you're going into that prenup or whatever, any kind of protection you're putting on your finances and on your assets, again, it's coming from a place. It's coming from a place, a mindset, a mentality. I'm not for or against a prenup, but what I think is important, because we're still seeing marriages that end in divorce, even though they took the steps to protect the money. But did they take the steps to protect the marriage?
There you go.
You
That's
dig?
it.
And
Right.
so I think we're putting more emphasis on protecting all the assets and the real estate and
Right.
all the streams of income, but we're not doing what is necessary to really protect the marriage and the union
I agree.
that we have.
I agree.
You know?
Yes.
And so I think, again, those comes from mindsets and backgrounds that our experiences have created for us. And so if we saw mom and dad struggling, you know, just to go back to that, if we saw mom and dad struggling, then we have a different perception about money. And so if mom and dad were struggling and they were having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to pay the bills and put food on the table, and money was always tight, you couldn't really go anywhere, you couldn't really do, you know, extracurricular stuff, you know, that you wanted to do and so forth, then you have a totally different mindset about money. And your mindset most likely is, man, you know, I got to work these jobs just to pay these bills and just to eat. Right.
Yeah.
You're not even thinking about, hey, vacation. You're not thinking about, you know, relaxing. You're not thinking about spending. It's a sin to you to spend money on anything outside of the necessities of living.
Yes.
Right.
That's a good point.
Flip over.
Right.
And someone who will come from that struggling family or that struggling background, and the only thing they are thinking is, hey, I'm a blow money to have a good time. I'm gonna blow money to go on vacation. I'm gonna blow money to shop. I'm gonna do what I could. Why? Because that person still does not have a healthy relationship or a healthy perspective when it comes to money. Right. So for them, they're masking the pain of growing up with no money, and they're doing that by doing superficial stuff, going and spending this, doing, you know, spending outside of their means to kind of mask and numb that pain that they're feeling because they don't have it. Right. And so these are all things, you know, that we really have to kind of take a hard look at ourselves. And we've been saying that a lot here recently about taking hard looks at ourselves to say, okay, well, what is my relationship with money? And I think a very important thing that people don't necessarily talk about a lot, and that they should, and that they're probably starting to now, is when you're dating someone, you need to be asking those kind of questions to that person that you're wanting to get in that relationship with. What is your scope? What is your perspective on money?
Right.
Because we're going to put this together one day. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the purpose of dating, unless you're just going to go around and screw around or whatever.
Right.
But if you're really trying to bring this together with this person that you're seeing, you got to understand their mindset about money and finances before you say I do.
That's right.
Because once you say I do, you're taking on something that you probably would want to say I don't, but you didn't have that conversation with that person up front about, hey, how do you look at money? How do you look at saving? How do you look at creating investments?
Right.
Where do you see our family 40, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when we're not here?
Right.
And so those are hardcore, you know, conversations that we really need to be having.
They're very much, and we even talked about this. You know, I don't know if they're doing this now, because we've been married for 11 years, almost 12. But there should be financial classes as well. In the prenup classes, there should be a more in-depth. They had a little bit then when we got married, but there needs to be a more in-depth look into finances and talking about that, because you're right. If we're not on the same page, it's going to shape our marriage in some way. Maybe, and of course not in a good way, but we have to be able to talk about these things so that we can be able to come together, and we know, okay, this is what we are looking for in our marriage with money, how we want our future to look, how we want our present to look. So we have to be very proactive in that when you're dating. You know, I know there's people that, you know, some women, and I'm just going to go with women, some women look at, and I'm not really talking to them, I'm talking to women that are, you know, ready to get married, want to get married, and looking for financial stability. But there are some women that look for, okay, if you got the money and you got it going on, that's all I care about. Right. And I don't, you know, I'll bring in a couple of dollars here and there, but you know, that's my money. That's your money. So we have these, right?
Yeah.
We can have these situations where we don't look in depth into the relationship too, because those are some hard questions that we need to ask up front before we get married.
Ooh, that's good.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's
you
true.
On it. You on it. And I think, particularly in our culture, and I know even growing up in the 90s was the baller culture, right? And so you had all the rappers and all the bling, and the athletes was making all the money and stuff. And then they were getting these women, and they thought they were going to be protected forever and financially set forever because, oh, he a baller. Yeah. He got money. He driving, Bentley, he driving Benz and yada, yada, yada. Unfortunately, a lot of that mentality is still prevalent today.
It is,
particularly in our African American culture and Black culture around the world. People of color,
right?
And I even see it in Arabic cultures, right, and so forth. Where now it's about the money and the look and the wealth and all this stuff, but that person may not know jack about money. That person, he making a lot of bread and he got this and this and this going, and he's a baller in NBA, but he's looking at right now. And so he doesn't know how to save. He doesn't know how to protect the family with the wealth.
Right.
He doesn't know how to protect you as the woman with the wealth.
That's right.
And so just because he's acquired it through his gifts and his talents and his skill set doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to have a plan on how this marriage. Now, if you're jumping in this because, hey, I want a baller and I want to be taken care of for the rest of my life, and if the marriage goes sour or whatever, that don't matter. I'm set up. Then we're not talking to you, right? No. We're talking about marriage,
and then we are
and money.
We want you not to do that.
Yeah, we don't want you to do that.
We want you to understand that we both bring something into the marriage, into the relationship.
Well, I say that because, and the reason why I say that, and let me just clarify that.
Sure.
The reason why I said that is because if you went into it looking for just what you can get, then you had no thought of marriage.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? You had no thought of holy matrimony.
Right.
You went into it as a business transaction that, hey, I get with you, we sign on the dotted line, we say I do, and I can get this from you once it goes south or if it goes south.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I'm talking about people who passionately love one another, understand that we're going to look to bring children into this relationship. We're going to look for the longevity of this relationship. And so in doing so, both of our mindsets have to be on setting up and building for our future. And so if one person is coming in and saying, well, she a baller or he a baller and I can get what I got to get, then you're not even thinking about the marriage component. You're just thinking about the money. You're just thinking about what you can get from it. But for those of us that said I do and meant it, you dig? Mm-hmm. Said I mean, look how beautiful you are. Goodness.
See how you
but, those of us who meant that, and want to honor our vows by staying together through thick and thin, for better or for worse. If you said those kinds of vows, then I think before it gets worse, let's have those conversations, those hard conversations about what is your understanding of money? What is my understanding of money? How do you look at money? How do you want us to acquire wealth? Right? What is it? Babe, you'll be surprised at so many people who grow up in religious backgrounds and religious homes that have angst against money. They have a relationship or they have a mentality against money. Oh, it don't take all that. God don't want us to be all that. He just wants us to be comfortable. Right. And so if that is your thinking, that's not for us to say that it's wrong thinking, but it is to say, okay, well, then if you come from that religious background, then you're going to have to really look in depth at where did you get that from?
Right.
Because that's not scriptural. It's not biblical. And so if that is a religious mindset that you have, that you've acquired through your upbringing or things that have happened along the way when it comes to finances, and now you say, oh, okay, well, God just wants me to have, be comfortable and just, skate through life and I'm good, then that again, that's a mentality that you're going to have to really look at, because if your spouse didn't come with that same mentality, if your spouse doesn't come with that same background or understanding of money, then you're really going to bump heads and you're going to have some problems.
Even the Bible says that he wants us to do what? Leave something for our children and our children's children, on down. So that doesn't make sense to have a mindset like that when it's just not about looking at your immediate need, okay, or your future as far as until the grave. It's more importantly, it's about leaving something here for your children, children's children on down the line. This is biblical.
And see, right? And I think that's when you jump into your shared vision of what it is that's going to come out of this marriage, what is going to come out of this relationship. And so again, we talked about, and you just hit on right on. We should be thinking 2 to 3 generations after us.
That's right.
Right. And so what a lot of times is that, oh man, she's so fine and da da da, or he a baller and he driving Lambos and da 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 da. But are we thinking about, okay, your grandkids are not going to drive the Lamborghini that he's driving today?
No.
Right. And your grandkids may not live off of the wealth that he got from the NBA or that she got from, real estate or OnlyFans or whatever, or business or whatever. Right. Yeah, so we got to be thinking, okay, what's coming up next for them? What are they going to have? And so when you're talking about leaving an inheritance, which is scriptural for your children's children, you're thinking generationally. You're thinking that, and see, so many of us had to start from zero. We had to start from scratch. I know I did. And that's not a slight to my parents, but it is to say that there was a lot of things about money and wealth and stuff that they may not necessarily have understood, that I had to go back and start from the ground to really kind of get an understanding about money and to utilize money and look at money differently.
Right. And the same with me, and not really the same, but that was a very big focus in our home. And my dad and my mother, money, savings, saving for the future, leaving an inheritance here for us, for our children. My parents were about that. Literally my brother and I can remember growing up, it was about, we would have a round table in our kitchen and we would sit down and talk about money, and daddy would explain and mom would explain the importance of having a future. You're going to have a family one day. You're going to have, responsibilities and things like that. You can't, everything that you see, you don't have to have.
Right.
So I grew up I grew up in the 80s. So and not in the city. So it was important for us to understand money and understand what it can do and what it cannot do. And my dad was about, you get someone who understands money, who wants to, have something and not just, be here and don't have anything. He always talked about the ants, and I was in the Bible. Right. I would tell you that.
I want to jump more into that in the next segment, because I think that's definitely a great place for us to go, is our, kind of sharing our own individual stories.
That's good.
And how we had to merge that together.
Yeah.
And how in some instances it created bliss, but then in other instances it created chaos.
Yes.
Right. And so we'll really dig into that in our personal stories and share those here. But again, it's about having a shared vision. And so if one is looking to protect their money more so than to protect the marriage, and one is looking to protect the marriage more so than the money, then you're starting out
at a deficit.
Right. You're starting out in the red.
Right.
Right. And so we want to help prevent that, because we needed help.
Yes.
To prevent that. We needed help in our marriage early on and still do. And it's ongoing. You're going to need ongoing information and help, like therapy. Therapy shouldn't necessarily be just a one-time thing. And, I completed this and I'm good. No, it's something that should be ongoing for the betterment of yourself and then the betterment of your marriage. And so you guys stick around. Don't go nowhere. We got more Living More with the Morgans coming at you. Stay tuned. It doesn't matter what they call you. What matters is what you answer to. Landed Sheree. All right, you guys, and we're back with Living More with the Morgans, and thank you for staying with us.
Thank you.
And we are having a good conversation, you guys, and we're talking about marriage and money, fucking dollar bills, y'all, along with the matrimony, along with the relationship, along with the love and the bliss. But if that money ain't right, if that money ain't sitting right, we're gonna have some problems. And so we were talking about, we really wanted to get kind of into the spiritual aspect when it comes to money. And like we said in the last segment, or we were ending with the last segment, how you can have someone who has a negative religious outlook and perspective when it comes to money. And so, and it's funny because I've talked to some people, some individuals, and they're like, you know, God don't want all that. We don't need to have all of that. We don't need to, you know, I'm fine with just getting by. I'm fine with just having enough for this and this and that. And in my personal opinion, I thought that was very selfish because you're only living for just enough for you.
That's right. And
you're living only just for enough for you and your family or your immediate family. And so my perspective was, well, God is a God of abundance, not just of enough, right?
That's right.
It's like even with the manna, it's like manna came from heaven, and it's on everybody's, you know, front door. And he gave enough for everyone in that household to have more than enough than what they needed, right?
That's right.
To be satisfied.
Right.
And so, but what he said is, don't take more, don't take excess than what you don't need for your household. And then it would turn into worms. It would turn into maggots. I think the reason why God did that, because one, he was training them through that period. And so there's a time when he's giving you welfare. And welfare is not for you to live off the excess.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Welfare is not for you to just live off the surplus. No, welfare is so that you can get by. You can be trained with what it is that you are getting, right? So that you can be disciplined. And so that was God's purpose when it came to the manna and just taking enough for the home, is so that you would be disciplined with what it is that he gives you.
That's good.
And that you wouldn't live outside of your means where you're hoarding.
Right.
You're hoarding all this stuff that you don't need. Right.
Right.
And so, but he's God of abundance enough to take care of everybody. So that means your neighbor had enough for their household, and the neighbor down the block had enough for their household, whether they had 20 people in the house or 2 people in the house. Right.
That's right.
And so I had to kind of dispel that mindset that this person had, and that a lot of people I see have that mentality, is that they have a negative relationship when it comes to money.
Right.
Right. And so when you bring that into relationship,
it's been taught.
Yeah. And it's been taught, unfortunately, and it's not biblical. It's not accurate.
It's not.
Right. And so you may be someone that is listening to what I'm saying. You're like, well, man, I feel like that about money. Or I grew up, you know, hearing mama and grandma or papa talk about, you know, this money is this, and we just only need enough of this and just to get by. And I think, again, there's a time for discipline and welfare, but then there's a time where God says, okay, but I want you to have plenty, and I want you to have something for your children's children's children.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And so we can't always be in survival mode. And so when we're married and I've taken you on as a spouse, there has to come a time where we get out of survival mode. And we should be out of survival mode when we've learned the discipline that was necessary when we were in survival mode, to learn what it is, how we can live on what we get in.
Right.
And we're not living excessively just because we want to.
Right.
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 And so that was the thing that I think God was saying in that, is I don't want you because I know you. That's what God was basically telling the children of Israel. I know y'all.
Right.
And a slave mentality will hoard
it. Right.
And not leave none for nobody else.
Right.
A slave mentality, well, let me get some for me because I want, I don't know if master gonna come a second round. So you're going to hoard all of that in. And God was like, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to be able to take enough that satisfies you.
Right.
Take care of what satisfies your home. And then trust me. Next day.
That's it.
You dig?
Yeah.
Trust me the next day for what it is that you'll need that day.
That's right. That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
That's good. That's right.
I'm hoping that people are getting that and understanding is that there's a time to survive.
Right.
We said it the last episode where we scratching and surviving, but there's like good times, right? But there's got to be a time where
we're the Jeffersons.
We moved on up.
We moved on up.
Right. I'm tired of staying here at the bottom. I'm tired of just surviving and thriving and scratching and surviving. I'm tired of that. And so, and I'm saying to God, I'm grateful.
Right.
But now I got a family. Now I got a wife and kids. And so now it can't be just, we gonna keep surviving. Right. Now I got to be storing up something.
Right.
And I got to have some abundance that I can not only take care of my family, not only take care of my wife and my kids, but I'm leaving something to my grandkids and my great grandkids when they get here.
Every man that is looking to take on a wife and to have a family, you should be looking into all of that. That is, because why? You're the man. You're the breadwinner. We women, we're having businesses. We're starting businesses. We're doing all these great things. We're in the White House. We're in the Senate. We're doing all these great things, but at the same time, if we look at this thing biblically, okay, the man is the one that is supposed to, you go out and you kill it, you bring it in the house. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it up and I'm going to cook it and I'm going to make it smell good and taste good. Right. That's biblical. So we have to understand, like you said, we have to understand money for what it is and not to take on the things that we learned in the past, if it was bad, things that was taught to us. Even my parents, they didn't teach us everything, but then we understood that you could not just go in willy-nilly, have money, and then didn't have a plan. Okay. Him and my mom had a plan. College educations, all of that is coming. They had a plan. You have to have a plan. And like you said earlier, if you don't have a plan, what happens is it does happen. You will have a tough marriage because those are the things, again, just like I say with communication, it's vital. You have to understand money. You have to understand, you have to both get on the same page with it. You have to do whatever is necessary to get where you need to be if this is what you want. Because in the same turn, you have children, they're waiting on you. They're depending on you to make the right decisions as adults.
Bingo. And one of the things that there's a scripture that you recite, or not recite, but you mention often that your parents or your dad would teach you. And it was talking about how the ant, where in scripture it says, consider the ant, you sluggard.
Yeah.
And the ant was storing up during the summer and the springtime for what would come in the winter. And I think far too often, a lot of married couples are, when they do get some money and they do get streams of income coming in, they're thinking, oh, we like the Jeffersons now, we good, and we're not never going back to being, Florida and James Evans, and that's just not realistic, because that can happen, right? It's happened with us, right? And so when you don't store up in the years of plenty for the years of lean, then when the lean years come and things are looking thin, now you're kind of like, okay, well, what do I do? Now you praying to God in 5 different dialects of tongues. Lord, help me get up out of the situation. When it should have been, no, we have a game plan to do XYZ and store up in the years of plenty for the lean years. And the lean years, and let me define that. The lean years might not necessarily mean that you're going to be broke. Right. That you're just going to go back to rock bottom. I'm not saying that. But when the economy hits, right, if you're business owners like we are, and the economy takes a toll to where you've got to lower you've got to lower your prices, you got to lower wages, or you got to let go of some employees or whatever. Those are lean times. Those are lean years.
Yeah.
And so any business that's worth its weight, that's really serious about its employees and the longevity of that company, they need to be thinking that, okay, we balling out right now, we making millions per month and yada, yada, yada. But it may not always be this way.
Right. That's what in the word when it says slugger. What's the definition of a slugger?
I've known it to be someone who kind of just drags their feet.
There you go.
and they don't really prepare and plan.
That's right. That's what he was talking about. He was literally saying, don't be that.
Don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy. Yeah. Do what you need to do to store up. Just like you made the illustration about having a business and having these lean times, especially now that the economy is bad. You should have stored up. That's what God wants us to do. Store up so that we won't be speaking in tongues and shouting and turning backwards and flipping over and here and from the living room to the bedroom.
Right.
And Lord, I know you're gonna do it.
Right.
I know you're gonna do it. You said in your word. And then God is like, I did say that, but you were not a good steward of what I've given you.
See, that's the word. Said it. That's the word. Good steward, right?
Good steward,
and so our marriage has to be built on a foundation of that we both understand good stewardship.
That's right.
Because if one doesn't and the other does, or if neither one of you do, you're going to be in trouble.
It's going to be stress either way.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult when one does and the other one doesn't. It's difficult when you both don't, because you're always trying to look for ways to get out of it. And then once you get out of it, you don't look for ways to prepare yourself to not get back into it. So we have to be able to be proactive. If we get in these situations, and sometimes they have happened to us, when you get in these situations, you have to be proactive and say, what is it that we're not looking at, or what is it that we didn't do?
Why do we not? And I'm saying we, and I'm including us. Why do we not plan and think about our finances until something bad happens?
Right.
Until it gets to that time where, oh God, I need you.
It's just like people who don't have life insurance. You're going to die.
Right.
Right. You're going to die.
Right.
You need to have a solid life insurance policy that when you pass, you don't have to do a GoFundMe or call up these angel networks or whatever to say, hey, can you help us? We got to bury Paw. No, we have to have that stuff already taken care of. It's the same thing.
Absolutely. And if you've had to do that,
right,
you would want, after listening to this, you would want to say, I don't ever want to have that as an option again.
Right. And nobody in my family.
And no one in my family is going to have that option when it comes to a family emergency or burial or whatever. And so those are things, again, that we're having to consider. The ant. The ant is planning, the ant is preparing, the ant is storing up for what is going to come. And that winter is going to be harsh. That winter is going to be cold. And when it's cold and it's harsh, that ant don't want to go out there. That ant's not going to want to go out there and work and have to bust his hump and work 2 or 3 jobs just to make it. No, he going to want to kind of chill and relax on what it is that he prepared for.
Right.
Because this winter is going to be harsh and it's going to be long and it's going to be cold. And so taking that insight and taking that information, I know one thing for us as believers, we're taught tithing, right? We're taught tithing from our churches, from our biblically our faith-based background. We're tithers. You and I are tithers. We believe in tithing. We believe in sowing. We believe in giving. We believe in philanthropy, and we believe in all of the things biblically and the principles biblically that discuss the benefit of giving, the benefit of tithing and
partnership
partnership with God when it comes to tithing.
That's good.
And there are so many people that will watch this and that for whatever reason, and you're entitled to your reason, they do not tithe, they do not give, they do not sow, for whatever the reason is. For us, we look at it as we're in partnership with the creator of the universe. Now, some people would say, okay, well, why do you have to be in partnership with God? You don't have to be. We choose to be in partnership with God because for me and for us, we want to know the heart of God. Not that we can buy it.
No.
Right?
No,
not that we can buy it,
right.
But that so we know the heart of God because of the discipline that he requires through the tithing, the discipline that brings about a benefit and knowledge that he gives us through our sowing and through our reaping.
Right.
And so we do that because, and we've, and there's been times where we've fallen off.
Right.
Right. A bill or something that came through, rent is tight or whatever. And we like, okay, either is the church going to get this,
right,
or is, the rental office going to get this.
Right.
Right. And so we
were looking at it in the wrong way.
Absolutely. And we had to back the car up off the curb and say, okay, we need to get some more wisdom when it comes to applying this.
Yeah.
But here's what I will say, honey. Many of our faith-based organizations and churches, they're telling people, hey, you need to give your tithes, and we'll spend 30 minutes on a sermon in church on Sunday morning just talking about the tithe before they even get into the actual sermon. And I think that a lot of churches and a lot of faith-based organizations do that because there's not a clear, definitive understanding about the tithe, why it is needed, what it does for the church, and what it does for you as the believer.
That part.
You understand what I'm saying? And so that's one aspect of it. Another aspect, I believe, is, okay, I gave the 10%, but now we don't have a clear, definitive game plan of what to do with the 90 that we got left.
Come on, you preaching. Come on. Come on.
And so when people don't have principles in place, plans in place, and preparation in place to do with the 90, then it's hard for them to even give the 10.
Right.
Because the 10 made up 100, and I need to pay my bills with the 100.
Right. Right.
You understand? I need to eat and pay this rent with the 100.
Right. Let's
just be honest.
Right. There needs to be financial courses.
So there needs to be some understanding, some financial literacy.
Right.
That gives, especially us as believers, because we just think, oh, if I tithe and I give my 10% and I give my offering, that everything is going to be Gucci. No.
Right.
It's not going to be Gucci because you still don't have principles in place, or you still don't know what to do with the 90.
That's right.
And so later on in the broadcast, we really want to get into what do, as believers, as a married couple, what do we do with the 90? Right? We're often told in church, hey, give the 10, and then sow a seed when the pastor calls for a seed. And some churches, you didn't call for an offering 5 times during the sermon. And you're sitting there saying, okay, well, I don't know what to do with my finances. Even though you're calling me to give, even though you're telling me to give, even though you're telling me that God wants me to give, and if I don't, oh, I've robbed God. They'll use the scripture in Malachi, you've robbed God. Who wants to rob God? Right? Nobody gets up intentionally and says, man, I feel like robbing God today of what belongs to him. No. People don't have a clear understanding of money itself outside of the tithe, outside of giving the church. We need to have an understanding of how money works. That's right. How money can help benefit the kingdom, how money can help benefit people's lives, right. How money can send your kids to school and you're not having to depend on them dunking a basketball and running a football just to get a higher education.
Right. That's good.
This is what money can do.
That's good.
This is what wealth and having streams of wealth can do. But the first thing we have to do is we got to say it's not a bad thing. The first thing that many of us have to come to grips with is having money and having wealth is not a bad thing. It's not a devil thing. And we use scripture sometimes when we're saying, oh, well, it's harder for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven, so it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle, and all these things that we've distorted when it comes to Christianity and to biblical principles, that now we have this love-hate relationship, more so hate relationship with money. Because why? We will hate things that we don't understand. That's why there's racism in the world. Right? We hate stuff that we don't take the time to go understand.
Right.
And so when you don't have an understanding of how money works, how money and wealth is created and acquired, you'll sabotage yourself from getting it because you have a hatred for it because you don't fully understand how it works.
Right. And all that getting, you get an understanding.
That part.
You get an understanding and not look at, I think that we're in a time now, just to add this in, we have to get a better understanding of things. Just because it was told to us years ago, or it's been passed down, you need to do this way and this way. I talk about the butt of the ham when we were growing up, and people would say, oh yeah, well, why you cut the butt of the ham off on your ham? Oh, because my mama did it and my grandmama did it and they all did it. Well, they didn't explain the reason why they did it. They did it because the pan that they had it in wasn't able to fit the whole entire ham.
Right.
That's all it was. So we now, I believe, with money, with marriage, with life, period, we need to get more of an understanding. Don't just sit and say, okay, well, this is how it's always been.
This is how I grew up.
Right. Yeah. This is how I grew up. Money. This is what I was taught. We ain't never had nothing. We ain't never going to have nothing. If you keep saying that, you're not going to have anything.
Right.
Because what happens is that the enemy gets in the head and says, you're right. You ain't going to have nothing. But no, you got to change that narrative about how you look at money, how you look at yourself, because it comes from internally, right? It's an internal thing. So I think what you're saying is that don't take things for face value, right? Look in depth into things. Don't, I said it before, if the minister preaches something out of a passage, don't just stay with that passage and look at that. Go from the first chapter and read all the way down so you can get a full understanding.
Absolutely. Right. And so you guys, like Ro was saying, in all that get an understanding. Right. It wouldn't say that if it didn't require full understanding of an issue or a circumstance. That's important.
Yes.
And so we've talked about how our mentalities are kind of shaped by our upbringing, our experiences with money. If you grew up poor or you grew up struggling, what that mindset is, and if you grew up with wealth, what that mindset is, where you might be, hey, you spend frivolously. You just go, hey, I want it, I get it, because why? Daddy said I could have it, or mama, I saw mama do it and she was able to do it and get what she wanted. But again, now you're joining with somebody in holy matrimony. And we need to stop and think, do we want this, a lack of understanding, to be the culprit that pulls this marriage apart?
Right.
When we could have gotten the training and the knowledge and the understanding that it took to really keep this thing together.
That's good.
So you guys, we got one more segment coming. Don't go nowhere. We're coming back with more.
Right.
With Living More with the Morgans. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Where can I find a professional logo designer? Wow, nice. Infusion Design Solutions. Visit us online at infusion.com.
All right, you guys, and we're back with Living More with the Morgans, and we're talking about marriage and money on today's episode. And we were talking about how important it is that when individuals are merging and they're bringing different mindsets and different experiences, different mentalities, different understandings about money into a marriage, that it's important that everything kind of be out on the table, where you have that understanding of how this person looks at money, how you look at money, and is that something that's going to mesh? Is that something that's going to gel? Because if it's not, and if you don't address it, and if you don't get an understanding up front, then sooner or later down the line, it's going to create some havoc and some problems. And I know even in our relationship, I mean, we have a 13-year age difference.
Right.
Not only with 13-year age difference, but we have two totally different kinds of backgrounds, where I'm more of a city guy. I grew up, thank God, in a 2-parent home, but I grew up in a home that kind of struggled financially, right? When both of my parents did work, and it was just myself and my sister, my oldest sister, finances were good. Our way of living was good. Over time, when my father got ill and was not able to work or find consistent work, then my mom ended up really becoming the breadwinner. She became the one where the main source of income came through. Now, my dad was good with numbers and accounting and so forth and all that, but jobs here in the city, particularly with Black men, let's just be honest, were far and few between at that time. And this was, you can say, the mid 80s and the 90s. So, and then my half brothers and sisters ended up moving in with us, and coming from where they were in Michigan, and moved to Dallas. And so now there's 4 kids in the house. And so I'm sure that put even more stress and more pressure on both of my parents. And I know it did on my mom, because again, there was a time where she was the only breadwinner, where the main source of income is coming through her. And so seeing those hardships for me, I was the baby.
Right.
And so a lot of the fussing and arguing that I would hear in the house was talking about money, right? And if it wasn't talking about money, it stemmed from money, right?
Right.
it branched off from money. And so my upbringing, I saw us go from having a little something to where it became extremely difficult, where we had all the action figures and the Nintendos and video games in the house that you could think of. But I remember during those lean times, I could come home from school and my PlayStation wasn't there, or my Nintendo wasn't there. And when you're young, you knew not to ask some questions after a while.
Yeah.
The first couple of times I'm seeing, hey, what happened to my Nintendo? What happened to my Sega Genesis? And then when you see that often, you kind of start understanding, okay, I better stop asking, where's my Nintendo? Right? Where's my drum set?
Right.
And so seeing that struggle and seeing and not, I didn't grow up seeing my parents come together and talk about finances. I didn't see them sit at the dinner table and plan. And Dad was incredibly intelligent,
right,
and understood numbers. I know they did their taxes together and stuff, because I saw them do that. I saw Dad literally do the taxes. That was his profession when he worked. But I never saw them sitting down and discussing savings. I didn't see them talking about investing. I didn't see them talking about, hey, this is what we're going to do this month, and so forth and so on. And so because I didn't see that and hear that, and I only got the aftermath of arguments, my understanding about money was make it to feel better, right? Make it to mask what it is that you're going through at home.
Right.
Make it to hide what it is that you really don't know about. So you don't so you put on this facade like, I know what I'm doing, but you really don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not a slight to my parents.
No.
It's just what I deduced from them being the baby.
Right.
And so a lot of my early interactions with money and understanding money and acquiring money was, hey, you ain't gonna be young forever, so you better go do something with it. You better go kick it. You better go enjoy your life. You better do this and this and this. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about saving. Now, later on in my, before I lost my father, he told me, he said, you need to open up a credit union, and every time you get paid, put $25 in it. Mm-hmm. Now, my dad is telling me this a year or two before he passes. But 20 some odd years before that, I wasn't getting nothing about no savings. I wasn't getting anything about put this up, store this up. I wasn't getting any of that. Right. So guess what trumped the savings conversations or put money away conversations is the 20 plus years of, hey, you ain't gonna be young forever and you better go live your life. Yeah. And that's what I did. Yeah. And I think that's what so many people are doing. And so for me personally, again, because of my background and how I was raised, it wasn't, we weren't raised to floss. Let me make sure I'm clear on that. Mom and dad didn't raise us to floss or act like something that we weren't. It wasn't that. I internalized it to mask the pain of not having certain things or having an understanding of things. And so I went and did what I thought would suffice for that moment and survive for that moment. And so, and plus, honey, I was always told that I was gifted and I was talented. And so when you're told and you're made to believe that you're gifted and you're talented, oh, well, the money will be there. Right. The money will come. It ain't no thing. Right. I can spend it, and I'm talented enough, and I'm gifted enough to where, I'll make that. And so I had great paying jobs, and I had making close to 6 figures, and I had all of that stuff before we got married. Right. But I had no understanding of money. I had no principles. I had no idea about saving. I had no idea about life insurance and putting stuff away and doing it. I knew about, hey, the party finna pop off in H-Town. We going to H-Town. Right. Or I ain't never been to Hawaii. I'm hitting the plane and I'm heading to Hawaii, and we finna turn up. Right. That was my thinking to mask my ignorance, and so many of us are doing that. Right, and it's true. I didn't grow up like that. I can say this: in our home, money was too much of a focal point to me. My dad was. He was all about that, hammering it, money, having money, having this, and having some land, and you got to have, And so, of course, a lot of people know I grew up on a farm and cattle and all of that. But my mom and dad worked jobs. My dad, you talked about the 80s. My dad worked at steel mills and steel plants, in Lone Star, Texas. And so, he would work a 10-hour shift, 10-hour days. He come home when we started acquiring, having, cows and all of that. He would come home, and while we were younger and we weren't in high school or junior high, we were responsible for, okay, Dad come home. We are home from school. We better be able to, be ready because we're going to feed the cows. We're going to make sure everything is intact, make sure nothing happened, with them, and they're still in the place they're supposed to be in on all the land. Right. So my dad, going to the auctions and things like that on Saturday, buying, more cattle or getting rid of some, letting some go. We knew on Tuesday those checks were coming in the mail. Well, we weren't, Dad
hey, Dad, can we go to McDonald's? We ain't gonna go to no McDonald's. We got McDonald's right here at this house.
Right.
You know, right. Your mom can cook that stuff. We ain't finna spend no money on that. Well, we didn't laugh then. It's funny now.
It's funny now,
right?
Hamburgers be this thick with onions in it,
right? And my dad, and my dad will be like, Dad, well, Dad, can we have Dairy Queen? I ain't getting no Dairy Queen. I'll tell you that much. And we just would be. We would be like, God, us kids, me and my brother, we don't get to do anything the other kids uptown do.
Right.
But my dad and mom would sit down with the taxes, and they had a tax person to do their taxes for them.
Right.
And we would sit down, and it would be more about. I grew up with my dad, and I love you, Daddy. God bless and rest your soul. But he was so stingy.
Right.
He was so stingy, and that wasn't good. I mean, there's a balance, and he didn't get that. He wanted to save and protect everything. Why? Well, there's a reason. My dad was born in the 20s. His parents were born in the 1800s, right? Their parents were born in the early 1800s. So that came with all of that, going through segregation and slavery and all and picking cotton and all of that. So they were trying to protect everything they had, money, land, all of that. And my dad would hammer that home for me and my brother. You got to save something. You got to have something. So fast forward, when we got together, that's the things that we had to come together and understand. Right. You can't take everything and use everything for whatever. We have to have a plan. We have to have a savings. Right. We have to have, stocks. We have to have investments. We must. Why? Because again, not just for the present time, but for our future and our children and their children, right?
And absolutely. And I think, again, those different upbringings that we had about money,
right?
We didn't have those conversations early on.
I was going to say that good. We did. And it made it hard.
And it made it very hard. It made it hard because I had to understand, well, babe, I want to do this and I want to do this. And you're saying, well, no, babe, let's put up for this and da-da-da. And I'm like, well, no, that'll come. We'll get that. And God's going to bless us. And we got a prophetic, utterance over our lives and the money will be there. Right. And, and so
a lot of people think
think that. A lot of people think, oh, I'm talented and God's going to come through and this opportunity is going to open up and life be lifing.
Right.
You dig? Right. Lifes and it does what it does. And so we have to be better prepared.
Right.
And better and plan better. And we're learning that. Yes. We're learning that even today. And so I want people to understand we ain't got this all figured out. And we need people. We need resources. And so what we've done, particularly this past year, is we've gotten into books about financial literacy. There's one by John Hope Bryant,
right? That
is called, it talks about financial literacy.
Yes.
And
financial literacy for all.
For all. That's exact. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
And I'll post a link for that book below. Financial Literacy for All by John Hope Bryant. And what he has done is he has broken down how everyone, regardless of your history, regardless of your background, how you grew up, if you knew money, if you don't know money, if you understood it or whatever, he's breaking it down in layman's terms so that everybody can have an understanding of how money works. And that money is not just something that a elect few people get to experience. No, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
That's right.
Meaning everything belongs to God. Now, again, it's our understanding of money, what we've been taught, what Meemaw and them passed down to us, what Grantee and Auntie and them used to talk about. And so we got to change a lot of our perception about money, fam, because we think that, oh, that ain't for me. Or I'm always going to be in this kind of situation. And so you have what you speak. You're having the life that you keep saying you're going to have. when you even say, "Oh, I'm broke,"
can't say it. And life and death is in
life
the power
and death is
the
in the power of the
truth.
tongue, and that's the God honest truth.
Oh my goodness!
Is
You
that-
know how we know it's the truth?
Right.
Because we've done it.
We've done it. Oh, I'm broke.
Right.
We ain't got this, babe.
Right.
We can't do this. Da, da, da. And everything that we said, we got. Everything. And it was the truth. But then when we flipped it and started saying, no, we can do this. Yeah, we can't. And we're the head and not the tail. Yes. We're above only. And see, we missed that word only that's in there. Above, when it says above only and not beneath.
That's good.
That means that there's no in between.
Right.
You're above only.
Right.
There's no other side thing that you could be. It's only being above.
Right.
And so we have to start thinking about, how do we protect the marriage then? Mm-hmm. If we're bringing these ideologies and these experiences and this background, and you're bringing this, when we forge this thing and bring this thing together, mm-hmm. how do we protect the marriage while we're building enterprise, while we're building for the future, while we're building for the generations coming after us?
Transparency. Transparency. And coming to a point, I'll say this: when you're tired of being sick and tired, okay, and your marriage is not going the way that you hoped or you prayed for, and things are going in a disarray, then you will sit down and talk and say, "What, you know what? I don't understand what you understand." Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, okay, mm-hmm. I want us to learn this thing together. I remember when you said that this year that you wanted to understand finances. Mm-hmm. You prayed and asked mm-hmm. God mm-hmm. for it.
Facts.
And God began to do it. Because why? He has much for you and us to do. So he began to impart and began to talk to you and say, go do this, go look at these books, go and research this.
I can tell you why. And family, I really want to get into this, because I think this is going to really bless and help somebody. So if we got to do another segment, then we will. But to continue this one, I want to jump into, and I'm glad that you brought that up, is that I made the decision this year, and I went to God in prayer. And I went to him and I was like, God, I need to understand money. But I want to tell you why I did that. And I don't know if you know why. I did that because I knew there was a prophetic word over our lives.
Here it is.
And that prophetic word had to do with wealth and money.
Yes.
And so I wanted to understand, if someone gave you a prophetic word and said, hey, you're going to be an amazing concert pianist, right, then don't you think you want to start taking up piano lessons?
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
If someone told you that, hey, you're going to be a CEO of a big banking company, don't you think you want to understand banking and the banking industry?
Right.
And you would immerse yourself in the knowledge of banking. Now, sometimes we sit back when it comes to getting this prophetic word, or we get this, spoken over our lives, and we kind of just sit and say, okay, well, God will do it, or it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. I believe that there are key steps that we need to take.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so when you get that kind of word, or when you get that kind of, even if you don't get it from outside and somewhere else, when God is speaking to your spirit about something,
right,
then it's up to you to get the information and to get the knowledge and to ask for the knowledge and how to seek out the knowledge. The Bible says seek,
right,
and you will find.
That's right. That's right.
And you have to seek after knowledge. You have to seek after wisdom. You'll find her.
Right.
But you gotta go looking for her.
And I think that, because for me, and I can't speak for you, but for me, I would also ask, because I know that I want my marriage to be whole. Mm-hmm. I don't want us to be, we having issues and difficulty. That's me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have issues and difficulties in places that we can sit down and talk about. It doesn't matter where the problem actually lies. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, okay. Mm-hmm. The problem is there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Right. It ain't about the person. It's about the problem.
Right.
So let's attack the problem, not the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the reason why people can't sit down and have fluid and good conversations, mm-hmm, or communication about hard issues is because they begin to do what? Attack first. You can't go and attack somebody. Oh, well, you got this. This is why we're here. And this is why but you guys are one now. It's not about blaming you or blaming me. What can we do to rectify this situation so that we can have a whole marriage? Because again, we're talking about marriage and money, right? And they all of that communication, they all go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
If you don't have, if you're not, if any part of your marriage is weak, it's going to show up. Any part of it. If the communication is not good, it's going to show. Up, right. If the financial part of your marriage is not good, it's going to show. If there's issues with character, it's going to show. Yep. So we want to tackle or attack the issue and not the person.
That's so good. And that component takes not just understanding, but patience.
Absolutely.
And it takes the willingness
and persistence. Yeah, and willingness.
And it takes the willingness to say,
that's good.
Babe, we're going to get out of this. Right. And like you said, not to attack you and your understanding of money, not for you to attack me in my lack of understanding of about money. But like you said, we're one now.
Right.
And so when people, whomever, they don't just see you and just see me.
Right.
We're one. They see us.
Right.
And that's why I went back to the prophecy spoken over us, is because for me, it was showing us to be whole. It was showing us to be full and full of life and live more life and have more life. So if that is the end result, and that is the desired result that God has for us, then for me, I had to say, okay, well, Lord, are we taking the necessary steps to pursue and go after what it is that you have for us?
Right.
And if we're not doing that, if I'm not doing that as the man, as the head of our home, then there's a reason why I'm not, or there's ignorance somewhere that I don't know, that I don't know to do this.
Right.
And so I want an understanding. And that's what I went to God with, is God, I want an understanding about money. Lord, you've taught me how to code websites when nobody talking about coding no websites.
Right. Right.
You taught me that. You taught me how graphic design. When I cannot point to no man and say they taught me how to do this.
No.
I can't point to an instructor.
No.
I can't point to a professor. There was no YouTube and all of that stuff that we have today. There was none of that stuff.
Right.
So I can't point to any of that. I can only point to God and say, God, you gave me this. The music, I can't point to just all these teachers and stuff. I had influence, but it was the Lord that gave me what it is that I have today, that gave you what you have today.
Right.
And so with that, I said, well, if you gave me music and you gave me gifts of design and you gave me this and this and that and music production, then can you not give me money?
He said he would. He said he would.
Can you not give me
understanding?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Can you not give me an understanding of how money works?
Right. That's
and
right.
so we have not, because we asked not.
That's right. We don't ask.
We don't ask. And so I would implore anyone watching this, if there's information, and not just asking the Lord, but seeking out. That's and then seeking out people.
Right.
Seeking out people who do have an understanding of money. If you're around 9 broke people,
you're the 10th one.
You're the 10th broke person. And so if you're hanging around 10 broke couples that are flossing and acting like something that they're not and they don't have, then guess what? You fit right in with them.
Right.
Birds of a feather are flocking together.
Right.
And so that's the mindset that we want to come out of, and that how these issues are also crippling our intimacy.
Yes.
Like we're trying to build enterprise and we're trying to build businesses as entrepreneurs, and that's all great and that's all good. But there's a real thing that's called burnout.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
And so you could be doing all this good stuff, but it's not good for you.
That's right.
And so I know even in our relationship, babe, it was nothing for me to be up till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
in the office working, and you knew if you got up in the middle of the night and went to the bathroom, you knew I would be in the same place I was,
same spot,
when you went to sleep at 10 o'clock or whatever. I'd be in the same spot behind the computer.
Yeah.
And that took a toll on our intimacy.
Right.
That took a toll on our communication.
Right.
That took a toll on my health.
Yes.
All those different things created that burnout.
And it took a toll on me.
Yeah.
It took a toll on me because, again, we don't want, when you're doing more over here and you're not doing enough over here, there's a deficit. Why? I'm an accountant.
Something's being deprived.
Right. I'm an accountant. Yeah. That's my trade. That's what, I went to school for. So when there's not enough attention in the places that it needs to be, then there's going to be issues, and whether it's talked about or not, they're there. They talk about this all the time. The elephants in the room, they keep putting the rug over it, throwing the rug over, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, but it's there. The burnout, staying up to 3, 4, 5 in the morning, not just cause the Holy Spirit talking to you, but in there working or in there concerned, right? Being honest, concerned about what's not working, what's the next step, what should I be doing? How do we get out of this? And all of that, instead of understanding that, okay, you already have that issue. Well, if you're not sleeping, your body is not resetting. If you're not resting, your mind is not resetting, right? And guess what? Your health is starting to deteriorate because you're not getting the proper rest. You're not getting the foods, and then you're not being intimate. There's a reason why God says, okay, I ordain marriage. I ordain that. Yeah, you guys can do it how you want to do it. It's not only it's not only to help to make feel good, but it's also, it does what? It bonds us together.
Absolutely.
It brings us together even more. So we can't have a deficit over here, and then over here it's okay, or we're not really paying attention or focusing on it. We have to bring everything
to balance.
That's why marriage.
Yeah. Everything has to come to balance.
Everything has to have a balance. And I have to say this, and just quickly, we didn't have that. There was arguments. There was misunderstanding. There was anger. There was things that, I don't want to hear that, because what happens is because we don't want to, we're stepping on, you say this all the time, babe. Oh, I'm probably stepping on somebody's toes. Okay, we were stepping on toes.
Right.
But God, right. But God put us together. He said, I don't care if them toes broke.
Right.
Y'all get this together.
Y'all
and guess what? You fix it until it's fixed. If not, if I step in, it won't be good.
And you don't want God to step in
in
something that he's given you the power and the ability to fix yourself.
Yes.
So guys, don't go nowhere. We're still going to finish this up and wrap this up in our next segment. It's Living More with the Morgans, you guys. We're talking about marriage and money. We'll be right back.
Be right back.
All right, you guys, we're back with Living More with the Morgans. And as we were saying earlier, we're talking about marriage and money. We're going to go ahead and wrap up today's show, but we've been having a really good conversation because it's important. It's vital to really have these kinds of discussions amongst married couples, even single and going into dating. You're courting someone right now, y'all chilling, y'all vibing or whatever. You really want to have these conversations when you're talking, about finances, because again, we're all from totally different planes of life, and when you are, your perspective and your outlook on life and on marriage and on money is going to be different. And so we talked about in the last segment how, when you have these financial issues in your marriage, man, you can experience this burnout, right? And how we had experienced burnout because it was easy for me to be up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning behind the computer working. And as a man, I'm thinking, this is going to get us out. This is going to get us somewhere. If I grab this client, if I work on this project, if I, and all the things that I'm looking to do to bring us out financially. And along with that, honey, it was crippling our intimacy. Because if you in the bed and I ain't coming to bed until 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even later than that.
Right.
If I'm not coming to bed, then we've had no communication that night. We've had no intimacy that night. And the enemy is using that as a door, as a crack in the door to get in and say, okay, that's where I can attack.
That's right.
You dig? Not only do they got issues over here with this money and this bread, but man, they ain't been knocking no boots. They ain't been doing this. They ain't been doing none of that for a while. I can extort that. I can get in on that, and I can pounce on that. And that's the enemy will do that.
He will.
Where the communication is dried up, where the intimacy is dried up, all those different things, and then you look up, and it becomes routine.
Right. Right.
And that's when it's dangerous.
Right.
It's when it becomes so routine that, oh, this is how marriage is supposed to be. And so now we're roommates.
Why do you take the word out of my mouth? You always do
that. Now we're roommates.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely
right.
And we have lost the essence of marriage and what it means to be married and what it means to have covenant.
Right.
And so, and what that does is that can build resentment.
Yes.
That can build. As for men, I'll be very transparent in saying this. For us as men, the lack of sex and the lack of intimacy for us is tough because we're wired to need that.
Right. Right.
Women, y'all feel like y'all can go months and be like, oh, okay, I'm good. And da, 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 da. Us brothers, we like, nah, I got the wife ain't giving it up. We ain't clapping cheeks. Something's wrong.
Right. My eyes gonna be looking over there.
Right. And we're hitting the panic button. And guess what? Instagram got plenty to show me as a man where the enemy has come in and says, oh, okay, you and the wife having problems, huh? And so now social media is showing me options as a man. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, of course.
Social media is showing me different sizes of button breasts.
Right.
And BBLs.
Yeah.
The algorithm is now knowing what I want to see. And if we're not careful, that's where the enemy can creep in with infidelity.
Right.
He can creep in with pornography.
Right.
Thank God that has been blocked in our marriage.
Yes.
But those are ways that he can creep in is by the lust of the eye.
Right.
The lust of the flesh is like, yo, y'all having problems. Y'all not doing what a married couple should be doing. Why? Because you're over here focused on how we gonna pay this.
Right.
How we gonna get this.
Right.
And so we're using worry.
Right.
Now worry has become the currency by which we live our marriage.
Right.
And that is extremely dangerous.
Extremely dangerous. We must have awareness in our relationship. We must have awareness. If we haven't, I'm not just talking about sex, but if we haven't been together and talked and hugged and kissed and doing all the things and all of that, and it's become so few and far in between, we must have awareness. There's something here that is vying for our attention in other places, right? So we have to have that awareness. So, and you're absolutely right, and especially with you as a man, maybe we women can go for a while, but when you're married and when you love somebody, when you're in love with somebody, you're not sitting there thinking, oh, okay, I can go for a while. You're sitting there or laying in the bed saying, well, I really wish my husband was in here,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And it's more affection for y'all.
Right, it's more affection.
Right.
And then sometimes, you know, I can say with me, sometimes, you know, you just get into that. You start to let animosity come in,
mm-hmm.
and then you start saying, okay, you don't want to come in here, I ain't coming in to get you.
See,
right?
You know, it's funny you say that. that's good. It's funny you say that because
it's true.
Our vice is booty, breast, BBLs. You dig? That's really? I'm just being honest, because we're not going to Instagram and TikTok for emotional support, right?
Right. No, you're not.
We're not. Right. We're not. Y'all, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah,
right. We're gonna keep it real on here. We're going because my wife is depriving me of this.
Vice versa.
But here's the thing. Right. Women, you guys turn off differently than we turn off.
Yeah.
So
we don't want to be bothered after we done got
bingo.
Yeah,
bingo.
We're upset. We're like, you out of there.
So
right now,
us as the devil knows how to play y'all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with emotions, and he knows how to play us with flesh.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And both of them are volatile when we don't have focus.
Yeah.
When we don't have balance,
mm-hmm.
and when we haven't included God in this thing and said, okay, Lord, help us get back the balance that we need.
Yeah.
And so I had to stop being up at 2 or 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, working behind the computer and saying, no, my wife needs me in bed by her.
Yeah.
Not just, you know, and I use that, you know, word earlier, we're just having sex. No, I had to get to the understanding that no, my wife needs me by her. Right. She needs that affection. She needs me rubbing her back or doing whatever.
Right.
That's what she needs from me right now. She don't need me behind this computer.
Right. And she's also concerned about your health.
Yeah.
Your mental health,
mm-hmm.
your physical health.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it affects everything. And again, I am a personal trainer as well.
Mm-hmm.
I study the anatomy of the body, and
mm-hmm.
I understand what can happen when you deprive your body of the things that it needs.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a concern too, you know, of mine, you know.
And the body needs the release that sex
absolutely
gives.
That's right.
For both the man and the woman.
Yeah.
And so when there's pressure there, when there's tension,
couples,
for married folk, we ain't talking about all y'all out of wedlock folk. No, we're talking about married folk. Right. There's tension and pressure that needs to be released out of the covenant.
Yeah.
That will try to come and infiltrate and disrupt and destroy the covenant. And so intimacy, sex, all of that allows that release and stops the enemy from coming in those places and trying to sneak in.
Right. And honey, it builds your bond even more.
Yes.
It's about bonding.
Bonding, right.
Yeah. It builds that bond that what word I want to use, that bond that nothing can separate you from.
It's like,
you know, it builds that.
If you ever seen a rope, right? And a rope would have mm-hmm. like 3 cords within a rope.
Yeah.
2 or 3, yeah. But if you see a 3-strand rope.
Right.
If one of them is just loose.
Yeah.
That whole rope is now subject to being destroyed,
right?
Because one strand
that is so right
is loose.
Yes.
Now, because why? It was fit for 3.
Right.
And so in a marriage, that rope, that cord is built for 3.
That's right.
The husband, the wife,
mm-hmm.
and God.
That's right. That's good.
And so if one of them is loose, that whole rope is subject to be damaged.
Yeah.
And it's not going to hold what it should be able to hold. What it was built to hold.
That's right.
And so you guys,
that's right.
Marriage and money is a topic that we can keep going on and on about, and we probably need to do a part 2 on this because now during the holidays, people again have their understandings of how to cope with certain things, how to get through the holidays, and they do it by spending and by just all unfruitful negative things that they do with money during this time of the year. And then they do it and they want to jump into the new year and say, new year, new me, which we talked about the last episode. But if it's going to be a new year and new me, then you got to change how you're going to be looking at money individually and as a married couple.
That's right.
And so, you guys, this is good information, I believe. I think it was a great conversation.
It is. It really
but we want to hear from you. So,
right.
Again, as always, if you haven't already, you guys, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And then also hit the share button. Share it on our social media platforms. We're all over social media. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, you name it. We're also on Pinterest. We just signed up for Pinterest the other day. Yeah.
Yay.
So we're also on Pinterest, so you guys can find us there if Pinterest is your thing. And then, as always, you can go to our website at www.livingmorewiththemorgans.com, and you can find all of our platforms and our audio podcast platforms right there. But we want to hear from you.
Yes.
And we want you to leave comments and leave information. If you want to DM us and hit us up with some messages, please feel free to do so, because we do this for you guys.
Yes.
We're not trying to build a following. We're not trying to be celebrities and all this goofy stuff that people are out here doing. No, we're trying. We want to convey what it is that we've learned and what we're learning.
Yes.
So that you too can have more life, more love, and more to explore. So until next time, you guys, have a good one.
Have a good one.
And we love you guys.
Love you.